Hello Capricorn, welcome to your reading. My name is Maria and this is a intuitive story for you if you have Capricorn anywhere in your chart or if you're a cross watcher or if something else drew you here to this video, and if the story resonates then surely you were meant to be here. Did I say my name is Maria? It is. And also I've done your reading with 3 decks of cards, the Muse Tarot, the Zen Tarot, and the Light Seers Tarot. And I feel that this reading is an answer to a question that you have, that question being, where's this going? Or where am I going? What's next for me? Questions like that. It's sort of like maybe you feel like you're at a crossroads, or you've sort of maybe arrived after a long journey and you're not completely sure what then is supposed to be happening. And so you start out your reading with the 6 of Voices, which always comes out as a transition card, as you being moved from one space to another, as spirit moving you to a new shore, to a new situation. And this could have been something that just happened, could have been a smaller thing or a bigger thing, could have been a really long journey. The scope of the story really depends on your situation, but you have been, or you are, might still be, because it's a story, so depending on when you find the story, you'll be at different points in the storyline, going through a transition. Looks to me like quite a big one, like being really moved, like almost from country to country, or from one state of being to a completely other one. You could have been changing career completely, something like that. And this one comes out clarified by the awareness card. So very clearly some consciousness shift is happening as well, you know, and also consciousness shift, of course, being the basis of any shift ever. Like if there was to be real change, our consciousness has to shift as well. Otherwise you'll land on the other shore and you'll do all the same things in all of the same ways, and then really a paradigm shift would not be in place. But you are being changed, also on an emotional and mental, spiritual level, and maybe even really incredibly sort of piercing through the veil, really coming to awareness or awakening, which is an incredibly high level of being, an incredible high level of consciousness. And also that would not be surprising at all, seeing as you're Capricorn and you're one of the signs who can go a really long way. Going to where you reach awareness takes a lot of time and effort and resilience. And you know, with the mythical fishtail that you have, then you are prone to incredible spiritual achievements. And because you know the Capricorn, the mythical animal for the Capricorn is sort of the mountain goat, but then with the fishtail. And actually this reading is coming out as quite Piscean, as very much about that fishtail, about that part of you that's not necessarily, certainly not as the sort of the traditional way we see Capricorn, like you just want to be a CEO and make a lot of money. It's, you know, I don't feel like I'm talking to that kind of Capricorn here. So yeah, so you've been or you are on a consciousness journey, and while this has been going on, you've been sort of stomped in the rest of your life sorry, I just got a sort of a, I don't know, like what's that called in English, like when you fly and then you get these sort of plugs in your ear. Anyways, it's like forward movement has been halted for maybe all of the time when you've been going through this transition, because this is the Chariot, which is a card of momentum and forward movement. It came out in the reverse, so it's very much like you haven't been able to move maybe at all, or something's particular, but this is a card of incredible movement, like of real power and momentum. So to have that stunted, to have that stopped, and to not be able to move has been incredibly uncomfortable. You come out with the Nine of Swords, which is kind of like a nightmarish card of despair, uncomfortableness, all of these things. I mean, this could have been like in a really big way or in a smaller way, but it's just as to say that not being able to move when you actually have all of this power that wants to move, excuse me, is or has been really uncomfortable, and it's brought you into some feelings that feelings and thoughts that haven't been yeah, happy, to say the least. So and it's really only just because your movement has been stopped, and of course that's never comfortable to anyone. It's incredibly not extra comfortable to a cardinal sign like you, because you need development, you need to move forward, you need to feel like it's going somewhere, and to have that stop for a longer or shorter while has left you kind of also maybe a little bit doubting yourself, being unsure about whether you still have it, whether you still have it, to do those things that you used to be able to do. But Spirit comes out to say you absolutely do. You completely do. And it is happening now. It's coming back in. The movement will start flowing again. Or the gates will open and you can go. Because this one looks like it's just doing like a hee, and then it goes. So sort of like there is gonna be movement again. It's really actually here at this point, but it is what is kind of beautiful here is that it's a completely other energy. I mean, it's still a horse, but this always comes out to me as slightly a little bit spooky. It reminds me of that film called Bram Stoker's Dracula, because of the colors and the chariot and everything, which is kind of a dark movie about narcissism, and yeah, you might have been in a loop like that, but so the forward movement that's coming now is much more sunny, playful, and it really looks like in another kind of world. So you're gonna move, but it is depending on, to release this horse, you're being asked to have quiet time with yourself, to listen to your inner voice, and it's really about taking some time to not be stimulated by all kinds of things, not listening to things, not looking at things, not being continuously bombarded by media, social media, or screens or information, but to have some time to really just sit quietly, which I find to be increasingly more and more difficult in the world as it is today, and maybe you feel the same. But it's not asking you to sit in a Vipassana meditation 2 times 2 hours per day. It's not that at all. It's really just small bits of silences. It could be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But really, it's very tied to this. So if you want forward movement, sit in silence. When you've been sitting in silence, success arrives. It's really beautiful. So this is the key to getting to the new success that, of course, you want to get to. Really important. So there's something going on that where you feel like you're juggling a choice, or trying to figure out something that has to do with, I think, somebody else, either somebody else or your now that disappeared. It was like, it suddenly became so clear when this other person came in, which is really weird because you're actually you look like you don't know what to do with this person and what that is about. It could also be an energy or an old dream you have, because this card is called the Dream, and it is about, you know, dreaming of a big love that's just gonna make everything better, but I mean, it could be dreaming about everything that makes everything better or anything. But it's like it's something you can't get a hold of or get a grip of, and so that is in your mind. So you're trying to figure out what about this dream, and it comes out clarified by the Queen of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups, which looks to me like you and somebody else. So you can switch around the genders because it's, you know, it's a general reading, that it doesn't, don't worry about that. And you could be either one of these. I initially saw it as you being the Queen of Pentacles. You could also be the other one. So these two people are not really in communication, or I mean, you could be talking or you could be seeing each other, but you also might not. Or but they look very different. They don't look completely like a match. At least not at this point in time, because this one looks a little more sort of mature to me, and this one looks incredibly invested in something else. Not somebody else, but sort of in work or choices, or looks like someone who has a lot on their mind. Maybe a lot of moving pieces in their life, a lot of projects that it just looks like this one is completely like into doing something very practical, and this one, which I think might be you, is sort of waiting, like sort of sitting pretty, and I think being like, okay, well, if you want me, you can come get me. I'm not gonna run after you. I'm not gonna do anything. If you want me, come get me. And this one is not coming to get you, right? At least not at this moment, because they're like super into something really practical, or work, or figuring something out. So and you don't look completely comfortable. I mean, usually this comes out as very comfortable, but today it looks like you're a little excuse me, irritated, or yeah. Also, you don't look completely approachable, but I mean, this is the situation. So, and it's what it wants to talk to you about illusions, and of you, I think, figuring out or being patient and quiet enough to understand what this situation with this other person is really about. Because it could be about something completely other than what you think it is. And the moon comes out as, it's always a card of illusions. And the moon says, you need to look at me long enough to understand what I am. You need some patience. With it, I almost see like it's sort of like clouds, you know, if you've seen like on moonlit night and you see the clouds sort of pass over the moon, and then some other clouds, and then a little bit of clarity, and you see and then you see the moon, and then it kind of disappears again. And it's sort of like it's talking about waiting and looking and being attentive enough until the clarity arrives. It comes out with the comparison card, which today is about, I guess, non-judgment of ourselves and others. So you know, you might feel like, oh, I shouldn't be interested in this other person who's not knocking at my door, or I shouldn't be looking at this dream that hasn't manifested yet. But it's like these cards are saying, yes, actually, yes, you should. Because the reason why it's calling to you is because it wants to tell you something, but it might not be at all what you think it is. It might not be about that other person at all. that they might just be a sort of an extra, like sort of a cardboard figure in the horizon to show you something that hasn't got anything to do with them, but that might be very important to your journey. Either way, because it's calling you, because it has sort of a place inside of your consciousness, it's because it wants to show you something. It wants to tell you something. So it's really like not to judge yourself, not to judge the other, not to judge the situation, but to actually sort of look at it consciously until it sort of reveals itself, because it has a message for you. And it kind of came out as sort of, you know, this sort of looked like an egg to me, and then here comes the staff. And so it's almost like these two united, like you looking at the situation with an openness to not judge yourself or the other or the situation itself, but to kind of like be open to it and let it reveal itself to you, will sort of create a conception of consciousness. Like really awaken your intuition, your third eye, your pineal gland, sort of wake you up or give you an incredible insight. Because this one comes out as, it's the Ace of Wands, but it looks like sort of a priestess energy, as someone completely having a spiritual light, fire awakening, and sort of ascending, and it's really, really beautiful. So this situation, it has actually a really important message to you, and it may or may not be about the other person or that dream in particular, but it is nevertheless very, very potent and very, very important. So yeah, so you come out then with the Four of Emotions. And I think this is speaking about taking you out of some containment of that is in a way illusory. Like you feel that you're unable to that something is out of your grasp, that is really not out of your grasp, that is really, because this one always looks to me like somebody sitting in a cup in the ocean, longing for the ocean, but actually really being in the middle of it, and this sort of being more like a mental barrier or a belief or something that is keeping you from what you want and from something that is already available to you. So it's like this is a process that wants to take you out of that confinement, out of maybe an idea that you can't have what you really long for. And this other person might be actually kind of a stand-in for the real thing. They might be just the one that you figure, oh, okay, this is kind of like the best I can do. Might be, might not be, but I mean, they might be. And so, but really, once you get, you know, the information out of the situation by listening to it, looking at it, sitting in silence and not judging it or yourself or the other, it's like this container will sort of break and you'll become the ocean. And this sort of this is also why it feels so Piscean to me, this reading, because it's like you're longing for the sea, you're longing to become everything, you're longing for something bigger, something more expansive, and it is arriving, it is happening for you with this process, and you then bursting into this beautiful card, which I know at least it was there in one other Capricorn reading that I did, maybe two. I feel like this is such an important level to reach for Capricorn. It's really is meant to be a part of your mythical journey, that you reach lightness of being and playfulness. because, you know, having been born typically a very serious child, as a lot of Capricorns will be, you are meant to reach your childhood later in life, but sort of in the mature, wise, expansive, incredible, powerful way. And so it is really what is happening. This is so, you know, in a way, to answer your question, where am I going and what is happening? You're reaching this, you're getting to this. The universe wants to clear your burdens away and help you into the lightness of being and into playfulness, to non-seriousness, to sort of release the burdens on your heart. And you then end your reading with this card, the 10 of Swords, which is an ending card. So I mean, it's not necessarily the most positive cards in usually, but today it is coming out as, first of all, it is that period of your life where what you wanted was out of reach is ending. That is ending. This has been painful for a while, and that is ending. And what's happening here is that it's sort of like you are arriving on the other coast. So we started out your reading with you sort of being carried, and kind of looks, you know, dark and with all of this darkness about you. So it could have been a difficult transition, and you maybe were carrying a lot of darkness with you. And here it's like the you're being put down on dry land. The darkness is leaving you. And I just see you standing here, and because we can't see what you can see standing here on this sort of, I see you on a mountaintop, but it just seems to me like you're looking at sort of like a Mayan city or the sea or a beautiful lush landscape or something. Just, I mean, and finally this darkness leaving you, something that has been hanging over you and maybe keeping you out of your most beautiful dream. Here I see you sort of being planted there, and then the horizon opening, like you looking out on this new beautiful landscape. And it's really saying, what it is saying is that the answer is here. You know, the answer is here. You know, what's next for me was kind of your answer, no, your question, right? And the answer is sit in silence, because it's already here, the answer. You just need to sort of open to it or listen to it or unpack it, and then you will see your new horizon. Yeah, that's really how it's coming out. That's the answer. The answer is to take a little bit of time to receive the answer that is already here. Yeah. So this was your reading, Capricorn. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a thumbs up if you did, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. Bye.